Hello, people. My name is Michelle Marie. Welcome to this video essay. I hope you enjoy it. This is my first time compiling a video essay, but I am a big fan of content like this. This whole piece will be acknowledging the development of the Asteria storytelling community in Pittsboro, North Carolina. This has been a slow and now very much so speeding up process for private developers and also the Disney Corporation, who has purchased over the course of 9 years different swaths of land in Pittsboro, North Carolina, Chatham County, and it now adds up to be over 8,000 acres. Publicly, that's public information at this point, but it could very well be more than that. So as someone who grew up in that area, who has a lot of sentimental personal ties to that incredible bioregion, this is my attempt to inform and share my thoughts and opinions and just land-based connection of that area. So whether you are tuning in from North Carolina or the United States or elsewhere in the world, thank you for your time, thank you for your energy. I hope this video is informative and it's really just from my heart to yours. So please enjoy. Feel free to check out the links I list below. I will offer some resources for potential outreach, and you don't have to be centralized to North Carolina to care, because we're all in it together. So thank you so much. Enjoy this video. Let me know what you think. Please correct me if any of my information is wrong. To begin this, I'd like to start with a land acknowledgement. The Cape Fear River Basin in North Carolina is the home of the Sissepahaw, Occaneechi, Eno, Tuscarora, Lumbee, Saponi, Kiowa, Kohiri, and Catawba people. People who knew the lush Piedmont before she was named. People who tended and loved her as kin. I wish to acknowledge the people in the land, named and unnamed. Throughout this video, I wish to empower each viewer to move forward in our world in a way that breathes compassion, for in radical love, resiliency festers. The Cape Fear River encompasses over 9,000 square miles, making it the largest river basin in North Carolina, stretching from the Atlantic Ocean northwest past Greensboro. The Cape Fear River is formed by the deep, rocky, and Haw Rivers, which converge in Chatham County just below the B. Everett Jordan Dam. The upper basin contains rapidly growing cities such as Greensboro, Durham, Pittsboro, Chapel Hill, and others, which contribute off-run into the river. Urban and commercial off-run, which is most often unregulated and even protected by law, which I will speak on later, poses environmental threats to the unique ecosystems of the Cape Fear River Basin. The watershed also supports high rates of biodiversity. Numerous rare and imperiled fish and wildlife species are found within the watershed, including the endemic Cape Fear shiner, red-cocked woodpeckers, northern long-eared bats, American alligators, sea turtles, piping lovers, and hosts of migratory fish. Now let's focus on the Haw River. Why? Because the construction of the 8,000-acre Asteria project will be built right off the river's banks. So what does this mean for that environment? And what is the Haw River? The Haw River and its watershed provides drinking water to nearly 1 million people living around the cities of Greensboro, Burlington, Pittsboro, Chapel Hill, Cary, and Durham. This 1,700 square mile watershed is home to a variety of fish and wildlife, including blue heron, bald eagle, beaver, deer, otter, longmouth and shortmouth bass, bowfin, moose, river, water dog, northern hellbender, crappie carp, Carolina madton, and bluegill. The Haw also contains important habitat for the assortment of rare freshwater mussel species, such as the eastern lamp mussel, brook floater, and Carolina creek shell. So with mussels, the mussels didn't only act as a food source for the people who relied on the Haw River, and to this day some people rely on the Haw River / the Cape Fear River Basin as a source of, primary nutrients for their diets. So mussels can be incredible food, and they also act as the lungs of the river, as the lungs of our ocean. So without them, our ecosystems can really suffer because these finite, kind of the tissue of the lung of the river, if you will, is damaged. It's like a smoker or some severe respiratory damage. If our mussels species are not within our rivers, we don't have healthy rivers. And a lot of the mussels that I listed, the eastern lamp mussel, the brook floater, and Carolina creek shell, these mussels are on the endangered species list. There are many plants of interest as well, including a locally rare Virginia waterleaf, found only in Alamance County. Other botanical allies are the Mickax's sumac, Piedmont indigo bush, bee balm, and hairy mountain mint. This is all but surface level. As you can see, the Piedmont of North Carolina is rich with biodiversity. I'd love to make a video talking about perennial medicinal herbs and woodland herbs of North Carolina, so let me know if you'd be interested in that. But the development of the Asteria community acts as yet another form of exploitative terror in this region, solely for the corporative greed and consumer gain. Further ecological degradation jeopardizes communal health to all living beings who rely on this body of water as a life source. So not only are tributaries and rivers and lakes, natural rivers and lakes, estuaries and such, not only are they a life source to our communities of all kingdoms, right? They are our lifeline. So without them, or with algae blooms corroding away our waterways, all life is in peril. And this isn't only localized to North Carolina. I'm focusing on this because I'm focusing on one major development going on, and there are so many others going on within the state that I could speak on. But something you could do if you are not from North Carolina, if you are even, is look into what development is going on in your region. Are there pipelines coming in? Are there major unaffordable, inaccessible housing developments coming in? Are there going to be blocks of storage units? It's like, what is going on within our localized bubble? Because if we are all in our bubbles and reaching out and expanding to each other and really focusing on the health and well-being and accessible resources and obtainable health to our bioregions, then we can create these kind of lymphatic nodes of resiliency on a global scale. So I really commend you and promote you to look into what is going on a regional level. Community gardens and such are some things that are coming to mind. Later in this video, I'll talk about some resources and some ways and take action in your area. Currently in the process of kind of doing just some on-the-ground documentation of what's going on in Orange County, Pittsboro, North Carolina in regards to the Asteria Disney storytelling development. I'm gonna go and scope it out and just document what's going on to the land and the area and document some of the surrounding bodies of water, one of which would be the Haw River. Yeah, let's see what's up. Wow, I'm passing Jordan Lake actively, and the lake is dry. I'll get some footage of it for you right now. So I'm at Jordan Lake right now, and as you see, it is insanely low. You can see the riverbanks. You can see a bunch of herons scattered throughout the shallow water. It's super dry. There's trash everywhere. It's not supposed to be like this, but that's a question that's up for debate. Is this lake supposed to be here at all? Considered it was man-made. At the lower Haw River trailhead in Chatham County. That is Highway I-64, and the Haw River's down here. We got some information about the canoe put-in, dangers. We are just a couple feet down the trail, and we enter this beautiful opening of rocks and river. Again, I can still hear the highway. There it is over there. But we have this beautiful river basin and beautiful rock features inherently true to this region. And we have a pretty epic forest going on. Some dormant elderberries, it appears, as well as some reeds, signs of wildlife, some mussel shells, and the river. It is approaching winter, making it harder to identify trees and just fully see what awesome botanical allies are in this wood. But as you can see, there are some really cool hardwoods. There are a lot of different beautiful tulip poplars, sweet gum, variety of different oaks, pretty major holly trees, and all of this is right next to a highway. So despite being exposed to some yucky environmental components, there's this awesome forest. It's not all just pine. This is a better representation of the trees that grow out here. As well as down here, we see some ferns on the understory, closer ground covers. Some really awesome perennials. So let's keep going. So what we see here, mere feet away from this highway, which is behind me, I-64, and with the Haw River to my left, as we enter winter, we still see an abundance of life, an abundance of plant and wildlife diversity. Feet away from a highway, meaning feet away from frontal pollution. Now, the Haw has suffered a lot in its past, an ongoing torment, whether it be from the textile mills that it powered for a number of years and enforced dams, whether it be from unlawful dumping of trash and waste in the earlier 20th century. It's been through a lot for hundreds of years, not to mention the enforced, through genocide and terror tactics, removal of the people who used to live by the Haw River. Despite all of this torment, this unique region houses so many awesome plants, so much life. So further development not only threatens the life that is here, but the future lives who wish to be here. Just looking around me currently, I see a very broad spectrum of plants. I see American persimmons. I see red cedar trees. I see white oaks. I'm also seeing colonizer plants like the holly bush and the lobby pine tree. I'm also seeing, some really awesome other oaks. I'm seeing the scarlet oak and also the water oak. I'm seeing river oats. I'm seeing cattails. I'm seeing elder trees. I'm seeing sweet gum. I'm seeing tide pools that the Haw River creates and these beautiful rock features. What dwells in the tide pools? Mussels. Natural keepers of creeks. Natural filters. We have some violets hiding here in this epic rock feature. Now, I'm just touching on super surface level of the inhabitants that live in this area. Along with all that, I'm also seeing remnants of this year's goldenrod, dandelion, aster, cane, grass. Saw some shiitake mushroom shells. And we're, as I keep saying, because it's super important to note this, it's hard to do botanical identification in the winter because you lose a lot of the platform in which we base our identification off of. Meaning there's so much more in this hub. Meaning there's so much more investigation and preservation, conservation work that needs to be done to protect these areas. This place is super special to people who are alive, people who are no longer alive, and a lot of the people who once lived here, most of those people were forced out. So the fact that the demolition of these bioregions is active is in direct correspondence to our death culture and is something that we need to push against. We cannot have any more of this space, any more lives lost just so we can have our boxes and be in some form of denial comfort. This cannot continue, and there's time to push back. Thanks. For centuries, the Haw River and the larger Cape Fear River Basin were the lifeblood of indigenous people who lived in what we now know to be the North Carolina Piedmont. The name Haw is believed to come from the Sisbahaw, a neighboring tribe closely related to the Occaneechi. Tribes in the southeast faced immense challenges with the arrival of European settlers, including displacement, disease, and encroachment upon their ancestral lands. Yet, before the upheaval caused by European colonization, the Haw River was at the heart of river-dwelling communities. The Haw River, a source of sustenance and trade, sustained generations of indigenous communities, including the Occaneechi, Sissebaha, Eno, and others. Its fertile soil supported agriculture. Its abundant wildlife facilitated hunting, and its water served as an essential trade route. The river's significance extended beyond the physical, as it was imbued with spiritual and cultural meaning for those who lived alongside it. The arrival of European settlers in the 17th century marked a destructive turning point for the Haw River and its indigenous inhabitants. Displacement began in earnest following Bacon's rebellion in 1676, when Occaneechi villages were destroyed by colonial forces. This massacre impacted people from Virginia to the North Carolina Piedmont. This event, coupled with the encroachment of settlers and colonizer mentality, led to the gradual fragmentization of the Cape Fear River Basin's people. By the early 18th century, tribal territories along the Haw had largely been displaced, with settlers establishing farms and imposing their agricultural understandings, thus forcing indigenous peoples to either migrate west, integrate, and erase their identities, or succumb to the pressures of colonization. It is during the 18th century that development, plantations, and the introduction of industry to the Piedmont led to a total refacing of the region. Old-growth oaks with canopies spanning an acre wide were cut down and used to fuel slave-powered furnaces. Now, under the guise of capitalism, this sacred land was turned to the hands of the capitalist. Everything had a price tag. The Haw River was first dammed in Saxbahaw in the 1850s and used for textile mills through the 19th and 20th centuries, and was a major factor in helping Alamance County rebuild its local economy following the devastation of the American Civil War. The Haw River has been dammed many times since to provide power for mills, irrigation of crops, and drinking water supplies. Here is a map of all of the dams that have been removed from 1912 to the present day. This is something to celebrate. Now, during the 20th century, the river became heavily polluted by chemicals used in the production of textiles. The decline of industry in the United States in the late 20th century has reduced pollution in the Haw River. However, the Haw is still in danger of pollution from suburban nutrient runoff and sediment. Good morning. As you can imagine, the development of the Asteria community greatly jeopardizes rehabilitation efforts of this river basin, as well as just poses a major environmental threat. Despite challenges, ongoing efforts are underway to improve the ecology of the Haw River, instilling hope for its future. Notable organizations working to rehabilitate the Haw River are Seven Directions, the Haw River Assembly, the Okanichi Band of Saponi Nation, and Appalachian Voices. The Haw provides drinking water to a large portion of North Carolina, as 10% of the state's population lives in the Haw River watershed. Actions continue to lead to the construction of dams, textile mills, dumping zones, and water divisions along the watershed, significantly reducing the survival rates for life. This is a wake-up call, a reminder of our responsibility towards this environment, towards our home. The Cape Fear River once supported thriving migratory fish populations, including American shad, short-nosed sturgeon, Atlantic sturgeon, blueback herring, American eel, and striped bass, which have immense ecological, economic, and recreational benefits for the local communities. Protecting the species that rely on the Haw River and Cape Fear River Basin requires a comprehensive approach that addresses habitat, conservation, water quality, and people like you. At the heart of our efforts to protect the Haw River species is community engagement. It's not just a part of the solution, it's the core of the solution. As we reflect on the state of our rivers, we must ask ourselves, what does the song of a thriving river tell us about our own vitality? And what does the silence of a once rich river's headwaters say about our impact? This connection between human nature and the environment is not just significant, it is crucial. And it's a conversation we can't afford to ignore. We must be honest with ourselves and ask, when is enough enough? If you have made it to the end of this video, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude. This is a passion project of mine. This was not an option. This is something that I felt I truly needed to do as soon as possible. So I appreciate your time and commitment to watching to the end of this video and hopefully absorbing some sort of understanding, if not just to affirm yourself and what you already know. Hope you found part 1 to be informative and enjoyable. Stay tuned for part 2, as I will be talking about the history of Pittsboro and the plans and active construction of the Asteria Disney community. Be prepared for a lot of statistics, and also, what do the locals think? How are community members in Pittsboro, North Carolina feeling about the construction of this massive development? And what is your average local in that region look like, just so you can build your own familiarity with life in Pittsboro, North Carolina, as it has been for decades. So again, thank you for watching this video, part 1. I'm so happy to have the time and space to create this video essay. Thank you for bearing with my editing skills. I'm just so happy to be here and to share with you all. And yeah, please drop your comments below, like and share. Really share this video with your loved ones, as our word and our connected voices are so important. So stay tuned for part 2. Thanks. I shall lay my girdles down when I get home. Spar the rose of glory, I shall sing a story.